All right, gun voters in northern Franklin County. Kyle Marquart versus John Simmons. Who's going to fight for your gun rights in the Missouri House? Stay tuned, guys. We're breaking this race down for you right now. Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. We're almost to the August 6th primary, and a lot of gun voters are asking us about this rematch in Franklin County's House District 109 between incumbent state rep Kyle Marquart and challenger John Simmons. It's the northern portion of Franklin County right here on the map. And again, it's a rematch of the same two candidates who ran 2 years ago when Kyle Marquart took John Simmons out of the Missouri House. And the question you're asking us is, how do we know who we can trust to fight for our gun rights going forward? They've both been in office before. They're both right now trying to tell gun voters that they're pro-gun. What are the facts? It's important to ask these questions. In fact, it's important to be suspicious as a gun voter because everyone says they're pro-gun. And very few people will fight to defend our gun rights in Jefferson City. What we're going to do here today is give you guys a snapshot on where these two guys have stood in Jefferson City, what they fought for, what they have not fought for, and give you guys bill numbers and dates so you can make your own most informed decision. And we're going to begin with John Simmons. So again, John was in there for a couple of years before he lost his primary 2 years ago. And this cycle, John has surveyed 100% pro-gun with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. What it means to be 100% pro-gun by our definition is not just that they'll vote pro-gun. It means that John Simmons has pledged in writing to sponsor pro-gun bills. And you can see John's survey for yourself. It's on our website right now. One of the bills that John's going to sponsor is enhanced stand your ground law. We've got stand your ground law here in Missouri today. The problem is the language we have is weak, at least in the context of a Soros-funded prosecutor environment like we saw with Kim Gardner and Mark McCloskey. The problem we have here in Missouri is that if you use your firearm in the eyes of the law, you're presumed guilty. And we have to prove our innocence in court after the fact. And that gives all the power to the prosecution, as anybody in law enforcement or the legal profession can attest to. Many other states have changed that, where the gun owner is presumed innocent, and it's the government's job to prove our guilt in court. That's how it should be. And it is that way in 18 or 19 states, but it's not that way here. That has to change. John Simmons agrees, and he would sponsor that bill in Jeff City. The same thing for sponsoring bills to ban red flag gun seizures. You've probably heard of a red flag law by now. Your bitter ex-spouse, your crazy liberal college professor neighbor, an aunt you haven't seen who lives across the country, you haven't talked to her in 20 years. Someone can call you in and they can say, this guy is dangerous. And if the cops get the report and take that to the judge, when that happens, the judge almost always rubber stamps that in the states that have red flag laws. And your guns are taken before you've ever been charged with a crime. The hell with convicted, you've never even been charged. Red flags are terrible. They shred our due process rights. They should never exist in our great country. And our goal here in Missouri is not just to defeat it when it comes up for a vote all the time in Jeff City. Rather, we want to ban red flags altogether. John Simmons agrees, and he would sponsor that bill in the Missouri House. The same thing for repealing gun-free zones. John Simmons agrees with us and probably many of you that gun-free zones are deadly. They're lethal. Everyone knows that because madmen target these areas knowing that you and I can't fight back. We have 18 gun-free zones here in Missouri, all of which are mandated by state law, not federal law. We have to repeal these. We have to let Missourians have a chance to fight back. John Simmons agrees, and he has pledged to sponsor that bill. Everything else we asked him. He would fight to defend SEPA. He'd fight to defend AR-15s. He'd fight to stop the entire gun control agenda in Jefferson City. It's worth noting in his last 2 years in the House in Missouri, John was a yes vote and co-sponsored the Second Amendment Preservation Act. SEPA is the landmark law that Missouri passed in 2021, and it tells Joe Biden you cannot use Missouri cops to enforce federal gun control laws in our state. If you want to enforce your tyranny here, you better have your own manpower. It's a landmark thing. We're very proud of it. John Simmons co-sponsored and voted for that bill. So with John Simmons, you have a history of pro-gun actions in Jeff City, 100% pro-gun survey. He'll fight for your gun rights. That's the recap on John Simmons. Now, with Kyle Marquart, it's the same thing, right? He's been elected. He has a record, so we don't have to be theoretical. We can discuss details. We can discuss facts. And unfortunately, when it comes to Kyle Marquart, the fact is he has refused to fill out his Missouri Firearms Coalition candidate questionnaire. That's never a good sign. In our experience, when a candidate will not complete the survey, almost always means that that candidate wants to betray gun voters if elected, and he or she does not want to be held accountable by breaking a written promise. That might not be the case when it comes to Kyle. I can't know the man's heart, but he won't survey, and that's a real problem. But far bigger than that is not his words on the survey, it's his deeds. It's his deeds. You see, the very same bills that John Simmons is willing to sponsor, the very same bills he's willing to fight on, are the bills that Kyle Marquart has refused to even co-sponsor in the last 2 years here in Jeff City. I mentioned enhanced stand your ground law. That's House Bill 2559. We asked Kyle, would you co-sponsor? He won't do it. Well, we asked him, would you co-sponsor HB 1651 to ban red flag gun seizures here in Missouri? Won't do it. We asked him, would you co-sponsor House Bill 1708 and help us get rid of deadly gun-free zones here in Missouri? He won't do it. Every single thing that gun voters have asked Kyle Marquart to do, he told them to screw off. Won't co-sponsor anything, has never filed a gun bill to our knowledge in Jeff City, a complete disaster when it comes to our gun rights. Not having done the survey means we don't know how Kyle would vote going forward on things like rhino-backed efforts to repeal the Second Amendment Preservation Act. What about efforts to ban AR-15s? Every time we have a shooting in this country, they call for it in Jeff City. Would he vote yes? Would he vote no? We don't know because he won't survey. So guys, the recap here is pretty simple. Kyle Marquart will not complete the gun rights candidate questionnaire. He will not co-sponsor gun bills in Jeff City. He will not file gun bills in Jeff City. He will not do anything to help fight for gun owners here in Missouri. And when it comes to John Simmons, 100% pro-gun, a record to match. That's our recap. If you guys see Marquart, ask this guy, why won't you survey? Why won't you co-sponsor gun bills? Why won't you file gun bills? Why won't you fight for our gun rights? See what he has to say. If you see John Simmons, thank him. Thank him for his pro-gun survey. Thank him for his pro-gun actions in Jeff City. And make sure he knows you appreciate that pro-gun stance. Guys, that's our recap in this race. Please share it on social media. You can find it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, our website, wherever you're watching this. Share it online. Make sure your friends have the facts. To see more race recaps, check out those social media platforms. And to get more involved today, go to our website. It's www.MissouriFirearmsCoalition.org. Thank you.